All right. Hey guys. So I have 100% potion craft. I can show initially. After 17 hours, I got all the achievements. I made everything. I did everything. Granted, the last bit of it I finished off stream. Because I just wasn't that great of a streaming game. So I did it off stream. I didn't do any videos. I just finished it up, called it a day. I did that this morning and last night. I was just getting a few things. A lot of it near the end was just constantly cycling through customers until I got um to popularity level 15 and then the minimum reputation level. So I did that. Um and so I 100% it, and obviously, as with all my reviews, I always start with the cons first and then I go into the pros. Um, the biggest thing I found of the game is that it gets very repetitive. Um, near the end, you're not really crafting stuff. After a while, you're just really. Actually, that's a lie. Near the end, you are crafting a lot. You're doing really big potions. Like, sorry, didn't get much sleep. That are like multi effect, and doing those interesting but also frustrating, especially if you mess up. Um, but like the NPC customers get repetitive, because after a while just the same potions. Um, collecting your herbs and crystals kind of gets repetitive because after a while you just grow the same stuff. It's not like you get it's not like you get a bunch of space to like grow everything. So you're kind of limited on what you grow. And after a while, like if you have if you saved recipes, you're not gonna be changing what you're growing because you want to just be able to quick craft a bunch of the same potions that the customers are asking for. And so kind of gets boring near the end. It only gets interesting when you try and build like do the big alchemy things. That's only when it gets like super interesting. Um but other than that, again, repetitive. I didn't like how the merchants like the it makes sense. They were traveling merchants, and you were like buying stuff from them. But I didn't like it. I wish it was more static. Like the merchants were static. Like you went someplace to go buy stuff. Or maybe there was like a day of the week cycle where certain merchants come on certain days, so you kind of knew what to expect. So you can kind of plan out what you are buying. Um, but since that was not the case, um, you get stuck in trying to get one specific merchant to come through to provide you with what you need to buy to be able like progress. And that kind of gets sucky. My biggest thing was trying to get the salt recipes that I needed. Um, which is kind of annoying. Um, that or try and get upgrades for your garden that so you can grow specific things, so you can kind of do stuff like that. Or buy new bases for your potions. This kind of gets frustrating. Um, and then so like you just try and like go through the day, try and get specific merchants, but they're random every time, and it just gets annoying. And then another thing about the merchants, they don't rotate their stock enough. Um, like the seed merchants, they always have like the same few seeds, and it's really annoying if you're trying to get um more of a specific type of uh sorry, mushroom or crystal or herb that you don't have the seed yet for, but you've been buying it from a merchant, and say there's like a potion that you have set up that you really need that specific herb for your recipe. So it's kind of annoying having to wait for that. Or like just hope that you get it. And another thing is the last con I have of the game is that I typically like customizing my home or your home base or whatever, or like the surrounding area with home customization items and stuff like that. I like doing that. Oh, but there's not enough room for you to customize, like actively customize. So having that one merchant come through constantly, or like two merchants come through with stuff to customize your place with, it's not great, not fun, and you just don't have a lot of things you can customize your place with. There's not a lot of decoration, so it's not really like in cool. I don't know. Um, I just I didn't enjoy the customization aspect. Um, it is what it is. Um, Game can't be great at everything, and that's fine. Anyways, onto the pros. I found it really interesting crafting potions. The first time I ever like the first few times I crafted potions in the game, or like even further on, it was really interesting to try and get to. I hate how yawny I get when I talk more. Um, it was very interesting to craft potions using ingredients, um, and how like with the large amount of different types of ingredients, you can get like the same outcome but like different pathing each time, and that's I found that very interesting. I liked how the oil base had like oil slicks that you had to avoid or like go through that would like wonk it all up. Um, Granted, I busted a bunch of potions that way. Also, the wine one where like you would just try and teleport through because your potion would constantly lose health otherwise. Um, it was very interesting. The actual potion crafting aspect of it was really fun. They really did a great job doing that. It's the core mechanic. I think if they couldn't make that part fun, terrible game. I found that a lot of the NPCs were very unique and fun. Until they weren't. Like I said, they kind of get repetitive near the end as the same ones, depending on your uh, depending on where your alignment sits. Kind of depends on what kind of NPCs or customers you have that come through. So that kind of dictates how um which kind of NPCs you get, and then after a while they just repeat and they just want the same type of potions. So you're not really don't really craft a lot of unique potions unless you're doing like big stones or the salts. Only time that you're crafting really unique potions, because a lot of customers don't really ask for it. Then near the end, they start asking for like, I need like less ingredients or this specific ingredient. I will pay you more. And then there were ones that were like, it has to require this, and like you could go through and craft, um, make that specific one. I just chose to like send them away because it was easier and less time wasty. Um, I wouldn't recommend just burning through the game like I did. I did this in like 2 days, 3 days, um, total time. granted, the 17 hours, it was probably more like 14 to 15. No, probably more like 14. 13 to 14 hours for me to 100% it, because I did have another save that I was playing on my Steam Deck initially before I started streaming it. And I found it a lot easier to play on PC than on my Steam Deck. It was really hard. I didn't even know there was a tier 3 upgrade to your potions until I got on PC, because it was a lot easier to micromanage how I was maneuvering across the alchemy map using a mouse than it was using sticks, analog sticks. So be forewarned, not the greatest game to play on Steam Deck. You can play it on Steam Deck. Um, and it would still be fun. It's definitely a bit more harder to control, which is fine. Kind of expected. Not every game is meant to be played on Steam Deck. I don't even think this game is technically supposed to be played with a gamepad. It is compatible to play with a gamepad, but not a necessity. I found the gardens very interesting, like the crystal garden, the mushroom cave, and like the above ground garden. I just wish there was more space, or like you could set up like the things vineyards have trellises or something like that. I wish the gardens were expanded on a bit, so you can like get more. Let's say like you could buy more space besides the like little bit, like maybe more cave space or something, um which would have been really nice. What's nice though is that a lot of ingredients have different types of ways they grow, whether it's on the tree trunk, on the ground, or in the water in the cave, or on the cave ceiling. Um, so there's a lot of options. Um, which is nice. But also not nice because you're also limited in the space that you have. So like if you would have to swap out a bunch if you wanted specific for specific things. But other than that, I found that area pretty good, decent for what it was. I found the game very D&D-esque shop owner sim, which I found fun. Until I got kind of bored, which, to be fair, kind of happens with a lot of sim games. Just because after a while it gets repetitive. Granted, a lot of people who exclusively really only play simulator games, they kind of are okay with repetitiveness. And I'm pretty okay with repetitiveness. I play a lot of survival crafting games, and I have like 280 hours and 7 days to die, if that's any kind of indication about my want to play repetitiveness. Granted, this is not as repetitive as say what this is, um, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. I had a lot of fun with this game. It's definitely a game that you play while having something on to listen to or watch. Um, that's something that you really feel the need to put your full focus on, unless you're trying to like role play a lot and get really into it. Um, Anyways, my final review score after 100%ing the game is a 6 out of 10. It is a good game, not a fantastic game. It does what it needs to do well. There's just some things I didn't like in it, more than I typically don't like in games. So why it kind of gets a 6. But that doesn't mean it's a terrible game. Anything above a 5 is honestly good. Anything under a 5, not so good. Lots of stuff it needs to work out. But this game is a 6 out of 10. I enjoyed it a lot, and I do recommend people try it out if you like simulator games specifically. I don't like or like the type of art style, or if you just like the theme. But if like none of the themes are really kicking it for you, I don't recommend playing it. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll get you guys in the next stream or video. So toodles for now.